Christian Horner's relationship with one of the Red Bull staff, whether it was just awkward messages or something more, has completely destabilized the team. Max has been calling for more focus on track. Jos has been saying that Horner has to go. Marko has taken the opportunity to try and oust Horner, who in turn has been trying to oust Marko. And Red Bull suspended Christian Horner's female friend, who's now taking legal action against the team. The entire thing has taken all the attention away from the track, and that is something that Max Verstappen has absolutely zero patience for. He cares about one thing and one thing only, and that is racing. Whether it's staying up late after qualifying to sim race on iRacing, or getting to any track possible to run hot laps of whatever car needs testing, that's what he loves. The whole scenario is creating an ever-widening rift at Red Bull, and the team are taking precautions in case it splits. And today, I'll tell you all about them, so don't go anywhere. The latest we know on the Christian Horner situation is that the woman involved has lodged an official complaint about his behavior with Formula One's governing body, the FIA. Officially, that complaint is a grievance which has been submitted to the FIA Ethics Committee, the same group that recently decided that the FIA president had not interfered in race results. The official complaint made by the woman to the FIA follows her decision to appeal against Red Bull's dismissal of her complaint, which was made after an investigation conducted by a lawyer. The accusations against Horner came to light in early February, but the investigation into his behavior had started almost a month before. It lasted 10 weeks, according to Red Bull. Red Bull appointed an external lawyer to investigate the claims. After his report was submitted to the company's board, it decided to dismiss the complaint. The following day, a cache of messages purporting to involve Horner was leaked to nearly 150 senior F1 insiders and media. And for now, that's all that's happened. Red Bull have been very tight-lipped about what has happened, while other teams have been calling for transparency from the organization. In this situation, Red Bull have two options. They can either be transparent, tell everyone what has happened, probably embarrassing Christian Horner by admitting the messages are real, and then move on. The second option, and the one they've chosen, is to say no comment to everything and wait for the interest in it to blow over. The option they've chosen would probably work as well if it wasn't for the already existing rift in the team that was exposed by this story. Horner and what is basically his Red Bull team on one side, and the Verstappens and Marko, who have a huge amount of influence in the team on the other. At the moment, Max's future hangs in the balance despite dominating Formula One for the past 2 seasons with Red Bull, and he's reportedly increasingly likely to join a rival team as early as 2025. The Dutchman was on a 9-race winning streak before his RB20 was forced to retire just a few laps into the Australian Grand Prix. It is already accepted by many that Sergio Perez will not get a contract renewal at the end of the season, no matter how well he performs. The drivers' market is as wide open as it will ever be, and Red Bull wants to take the opportunity to bring in a stronger driver. But with a wide-open drivers' market, Max Verstappen also has plenty of options, with Mercedes and Aston Martin looking like the most interesting ones. Jos Verstappen and Toto Wolff are old friends who buried the hatchet after a fallout following the 2021 British Grand Prix, and the two have been seen in deep conversation at multiple races this season. Mercedes have been openly courting the Dutchman, with Toto Wolff saying he'd love to sign him as Lewis Hamilton's replacement. Looking at the current state of the Mercedes team, they're not a very attractive option, but with new engine and aero regulations coming in 2026, there is a chance for a big turnaround from the Silver Arrows. It would still be a gamble for Max, but moving anywhere apart from Red Bull right now is a gamble. The less obvious, but perhaps more attractive option is Aston Martin. With Honda coming on board as their engine supplier in 2026, and many ex-Red Bull staff gracing the halls of Silverstone already, Max would have plenty of allies at the team. And a rumoured Saudi Arabian takeover of the team would mean a bottomless pit of money could be poured into his contract. More money from F1 means more money to spend on sim racing rigs, and we all know that is why Verstappen is really in F1. So with Max's future completely uncertain at the moment, despite his contract till 2028, Red Bull are preparing for the worst. They want a really strong driver in their second seat anyway, but instead of going for someone who might be good, but not quite good enough to challenge Verstappen's place as top dog, they're instead looking at options who could be on a level with the Dutchman to replace him if he decides to leave. Drivers of that caliber are hard to find, and it could be argued that the only such driver in the sport at the moment is Lewis Hamilton. However, he is signed to Ferrari for 2025, which means the only remaining world champion in the sport is the best choice. That means Fernando Alonso. According to former F1 driver turned pundit Ralf Schumacher, Red Bull are looking for a suitable replacement for Perez and potentially Verstappen. Not only Max, but also the team is thinking about an alternative, and there are now completely new rumours, the German revealed to Sky Deutschland. Christian Horner has always been a very big fan of Fernando Alonso. Apparently, there are big intentions in the background to bring Fernando Alonso into the cockpit next year to have another strong driver if Max Verstappen leaves the team. Schumacher believes Alonso would be a good option for Red Bull, having shown during his time with Aston Martin that he still has what it takes to compete with the best. The Spaniard is out of contract at the end of this season, opening the door for him to sign with Red Bull. If Fernando Alonso were to get to Red Bull at the end of his career and in a car which he can win, Alonso would obviously want that, said the six-time Grand Prix winner. And you saw what Alonso did again at the weekend, how fast he was, how he prevented George Russell from overtaking him. I think he knows what he wants, and he would fit in well. And of course, you have to say, today you need experienced people. You have to win from the outset. Especially at Red Bull, this is something very important, and I think Fernando Alonso would be a good alternative. As happy as Alonso appears at Aston Martin, he is in F1 to win. He's as ruthless as anyone who has ever graced a Grand Prix circuit, and if Red Bull offered him a spot, the chance at a Drivers' Championship would be too much to turn down. Red Bull aren't just scouting out one option though. Alonso is probably their first choice, but Carlos Sainz's performance at Albert Park has made him a very strong second choice. Still recovering from appendicitis surgery, Sainz won the Melbourne event after overtaking pole sitter Max Verstappen on lap 2 as the Dutchman hit trouble with his brakes. Sainz comfortably had the measure of Ferrari teammate Charles Leclerc to take his first win since last year's Singapore Grand Prix, being the only driver other than Verstappen to win a race since April last year, and holding his record as the only non-Red Bull driver to win a race since George Russell in Brazil in 2022. Sainz will lose his Ferrari seat to Mercedes man Lewis Hamilton in 2025, making him one of the most high-profile free agents on the driver market. Most talk about Perez's potentially vacant seat, which is up for renewal, has centered around Red Bull's own drivers Daniel Ricciardo, Yuki Tsunoda, and even Liam Lawson up until now. Ricciardo is quite quickly working his way out of contention for the spot though, and Yuki has never been seen as a favourite for that seat either, though Helmut Marko has been singing his praises of late. Speaking after the race in Australia, Horner talked about that 3-second seat at Red Bull. I think we want to field the best pairing that we can in Red Bull racing, and sometimes you've got to look outside the pool as well, Horner said, before referring to Sainz. You've had a very fast, unemployed driver win today's race, so the market is reasonably fluid with certain drivers. It's pretty safe to assume at this point that Red Bull will get either Sainz or Alonso. Considering the strength of the car, no one is going to turn the team down. But with reports of Verstappen looking elsewhere for 2025, the possibility of having a Spanish combo of Alonso and Sainz would be the perfect outcome to an unexpectedly lively market for Red Bull. Do you think Verstappen will leave the team at the end of the season? Or, if he doesn't, would Red Bull prefer Sainz or Alonso alongside him? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.